Good morning and welcome back to another In the Know segment. As early voting has already begun and election day is around the corner, we want to continue to inform voters about the ins and outs of this election. And joining us this morning is Dr. Sarah Netzley from Bradley University, who will be breaking down election rhetoric and how voters can be informed. Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us on In the Know.
My pleasure.
I know. I feel like this election, people have been seeing basically kind of everything with this election. And my question to you is, what is election rhetoric for people that don't know what that is?
Sure. Well, when we talk about election rhetoric, what we're really talking about is speech intended to persuade. So it is what the candidates are saying in order to get people to support them, to vote for them, to turn out actually on election day.
And, with the candidates and the rhetoric, one candidate saying one thing, the other candidate saying another. What are some examples that you've seen in this election from both candidates that have shown clear, concise election rhetoric?
Oh gosh, are politicians concise? But no, I think we see two distinct styles of campaign rhetoric with these politicians. So with Kamala Harris, with Vice President Kamala Harris, she has run a more traditional campaign. She is a little more disciplined and on message. She had to do, in college professor terms, a cram session, right? Because she came into the election so late that she had to catch voters up with who she is, what her policies are. So she has been a little more focused on unity, and here's what she would do if she were elected, with economics to help working families and so forth. Where her campaign rhetoric has been a little unusual is how she talks about her opponent sometimes, that she occasionally will refer to former President Donald Trump in a laughing way, calling him weird, talking about his small rally sizes, things like that. And I think she's doing that because of his campaign rhetoric. Former President Trump likes to be strong. He likes to use superlatives, the best, the biggest, the most. And he is not shy with insults. He is less focused on policy and more on, I think, entertainment. He knows that that's what the media responds to. That's what the public responds to. It's what gets shared and passed around on social media and elsewhere.
Right.
So where he differs from a more traditional candidate, some of his rhetoric has been a little more overt in vilifying and even dehumanizing sometimes immigrants and people he considers to be his opponents. An example you had mentioned, on Thursday of last week, he referred to the United States as the garbage can for the world about our immigration policies.
Right.
And then yesterday, a comedian opening for him at his rally on Madison Square Garden referred to Puerto Rico as an island of floating garbage. Puerto Ricans are U.S. citizens, so it's unusual for a candidate to use that kind of strong language or to have it at his rallies about citizens. So we are seeing very distinct rhetorical styles and arguments, but he knows that the media responds to conversations and outcry, and that is what's keeping him in the news. And honestly, he knows how to be a showman.
Right, and with this such unusual, traditional rhetoric from one candidate and kind of unusual rhetoric from another, what can voters kind of know? What is good rhetoric to take in for a voter?
Well, I think it can be easy to sort of go down the path of seeing what's being said and not really looking into it yourself. Because politicians can say a lot without saying a lot, you do have to be a little critical and skeptical and maybe do a little bit of research yourself. We have source amnesia as a public. And what that means is we remember the fact, but we don't really remember who said it or how they know it to be true. And that can be a problem. Well,
Thank you so much, Sarah, for joining us about election rhetoric. And if you guys want to know more about this election season, you can join us at 25newsnow.com.